So, Facebook has become kind of a cesspool. It was kind of nice and calm, and we had all forgotten. If you'd left Twitter, I had left Twitter. What social media had been like, from about 2007, 8, through to now, right? We kind of got that little quiet after COVID where people started to be nice again. And we kind of got a false sense of security. And Facebook decided to show me these guys. You guys all know who they are. These two bullies. They're like the incels. They started as incels like 10 years ago. And they just hate women. And they think they're men's and they're alpha men. And they whine constantly about DEI and women and crybaby this. And they invited this young woman. And the young woman, first of all, these are 30-something-year-old men now, okay? They go to the gym, so they're a pair of meatheads that, probably between the pair of them are somewhere between 480, 550 pounds each, right? Meatheads. Typical incels that, got a lot of attention, running their mouths about stuff they don't understand and bullying whoever they think they can get away with it. And so they invite this poor young woman who's probably somewhere between 19 and 24 and barely looks like she's legal. She looks 17, 18 even. But I know they couldn't have had her on the show and treated her like this if she were actually underage. And she was supposed to talk about misogyny and explain misogyny to them. And instead what happened was these two assholes started just berating her and ripping her apart and shredding her and not letting her have a word in edgewise. And the more that she tried to recompose herself, the more they barraged her, bullied her. They bullied her into tears. And they relished this. They laughed and they thought this was funny. And then they edited this video and put it out there on Facebook, paying Facebook to show it to people like me. Maybe they showed it to you. And in the comments, the typical incels, on and on and on and on and on, right? And let me explain the main crust of the problem with this video. They literally proved her point by bullying the ever-loving shit out of her. Come on, 500 pounds of men, of two grown men, bullying a little girl that wasn't a $1.25 soaking wet. Okay, so maybe she's a young woman. She is still at least 15 years their junior is my bet. She sure as hell looked like she might be 20 years their junior. Wow, such big men. Whoo, I am alpha, hear me roar, bitch. Invite me on your damn show. Oh, I'm not going to be crying. I will make you whip out your tiny little penises, and then I will show you how every woman on this planet can buy one bigger than you. And I won't come by myself. I'll bring a whole entourage to remind you that you don't talk to women that way. You don't talk to anyone that way. But the point of it was they were literally showing what misogyny is. Bullying this young woman until they made her cry and run away. That's misogyny in its finest. The most blatant, raw visual of misogyny, and they created it themselves. Wow. But what really kind of irked me was in the comments, never mind the damn incels, they're all idiots, right? They think that these guys treating other people like shit are alpha males. No, sweetheart, they're chicken shits. Or they wouldn't have had a little girl. They would have had women who had 30 years in careers with male-dominated careers, and they would have had to defend their behavior. They would have had to have a real conversation. But in the comments, the incels, I expect, I background check everybody. And I do mean everybody. If you screw with me, that's not the person you want to screw with. I want to know who you are. The reason I want to know who you are normally is because I want to, try and connect. But in this case, I saw where a lot of these females were actually real women. What the fuck is wrong with you? Battered wife syndrome? What the hell, girls? No, you do not back up misogynistic assholes and think, I'm going to get attention that way. What the hell is wrong with you? You know what kind of attention you're going to get? You're going to get a man who bullies you into a corner. Eventually, when you want to defend yourself or say anything for yourself, he's going to beat the crap out of you. And when the cops get there, you fully deserve for the cops to go, oh, nothing we can do, and walk away. That's what you deserve. I don't want to see you get that, but that's what you deserve. Oh, she couldn't describe misogyny because it's all bullshit, was one of the female comments. And she was a real woman. No, sweetheart, she didn't need to. They literally showed you exactly what misogyny is with their own behavior in that video. Now, those of you that think, oh, I saw that video, I just ignored it. Well, good for you, honey. That means the AI sees all of those comments, just like the algorithm did before, and assumes that that's the mass majority of opinions. That's how the algorithms works. That's why the far right has taken over the entire country. That's why they're getting so much pull all over globally, because they knew how to work the AI system. And they started doing it over 20 years ago. So they were way ahead of the rest of us. AI is now doing it. You need to pipe up. You need to make comments. You need to stand your ground. I know that is really hard for a lot of women. So I expect some of you men to grow up here, drop your pair, whatever you need to do, and actually start piping up against these incels. Because if they win the AI, the game is over. The game is over. And that becomes the new standard for men. Shitty little weasels. And let me tell you, when somebody goes, oh, but that's how it always was. That's the right way. No, bitches. My grandmother would have went and got my grandfather if they were treating her like that. Because my grandmother was about the size of that little girl. And my grandmother would have got my 6'5", 6'6" grandfather. And he would have squashed those two like bugs. So you gentlemen and you women that disagree with what these incels are doing, you need to pipe up, you need to speak up, and you need to stand your ground. And I understand that they can be exhausting. They keep coming back and back. And it becomes exhausting. Then just tell them, I'm done with you when you're done with them. I've made my point for the peanut gallery. But remember, the peanut gallery is primarily that AI system. And if you don't fight the good fight now, those two assholes are going to define masculinity for the next 100 years. Is that what we want? Two little weasels that had to pick on a little girl half their size and ironically prove what misogyny actually is? I don't think so. Think about it. Peace.